Welcome back to Investing with Confidence, sponsored by Online Trading Academy. An Online Trading Academy are on their 25th year, actually, teaching people just like you how to trade and invest within these great markets, stocks, options, futures, Forex, but also that good old cryptocurrency. If you happen to miss 2 tickets for that investing class right here in Bloomington, just call 952-814-4410. They're free. You're going to receive some free stock picks when you do that. So make sure to ask when you call in right now for those stock picks. You get those to your email. So we talked about in the last section, Al, with portfolios. We have a lot of people that are hopefully the most wealthy they've ever been, especially in their retirement accounts, 401ks, IRAs. But there are a lot of people that are kind of scared to death of a market drop. You know, I don't want to say market crash because that scares people, but that's the reality. But let's call it a market drop. And they want to keep what they have. And I mentioned on the last section, I was going to give an analogy of what your 401k, your IRA, if you have money managed by anybody right now, how it's actually sitting. And think of it this way. You have a bucket of cash, whether it's, say you got 50 grand in there, 100 grand, 300 grand, 500, maybe a couple million, whatever, 10 million, doesn't matter what it is. It's all in a bucket. And you put it on the street, on the curb, and it's sitting there, which I would call that 100% at risk of somebody walking up there and just taking that away, or maybe just taking a few $100s out of there every day, or a few thousand every day, or maybe $1 million every couple months or something. That's how your retirement buckets are sitting right now, especially if you have a broker or an advisor, basically a money manager, because they are putting all of your money into the market, which means 100% at risk.
Right.
So, and that's what a lot of people don't understand is they say, I don't want to be that risky in the market, especially if you're near retirement ages or getting close to that or just retired. So you're 100% at risk, but you don't want to be risky. I want you to talk about a strategy that we really talk about at Online Trading Academy on using portions of your cash so it's not 100% at risk and you can protect the rest.
Yeah, there's some limitations as to what you can do in 401ks. And remember, a 401k was never really designed as the go-to retirement plan for Americans. It was really a tax shelter for high-income executives years ago. But it became the go-to when companies realized they didn't have to have pension plans, which they were responsible for, and which cost them a lot of money. So the best thing about a 401k is that if you have a match, you have some free money coming in. Some of the negatives, well, number one, you have limited access to different types of assets. Typically, in fact, almost always, it's just the stock market, whether it's individual stocks, exchange-traded funds, or mutual funds. The problem is when the market goes down, and you didn't want to call it a crash, but talk to people that were in the market in the year 2000 when the S&P went down 50%, and in 2008 when the S&P was down 57%, and the NASDAQ was down closer to 80%. Those people might call it something other than just a little bit of a drawdown.
I was trying to be nice.
Yeah, and we have a lot of people that come in that say, hey, look, I went through this once before. I'm just now getting back to the point where I'm getting some profits. I can't let that happen again. And that's really important. So in the 401ks, you have limits as to what you can do. That's why so many of our students want to set up as soon as possible a self-directed IRA. Now you have access to a number of different assets, not just stock, not just mutual funds, but the assets that we talk about in these classes, futures, for example, options, the foreign exchange market. That's where you have access to the leverage, which means you can have a small amount. A lot of people, if they have even several $1 million in a retirement account, they're reluctant to have all of that money exposed to the stock market. You don't have to. You can take a small part of it and use those leveraged assets to still participate in a very large investment that's, maybe a multiple of 100 times or 50 times what you have in that investment account.
Yeah. Just to give a quick example, like in the Forex market, which is currencies, you have 50 to 1 leverage. So basically for every dollar that you have, you can control 50. So say someone has $2,000 to invest in the market, they can actually control $100,000 of currency. That's great leverage.
Right.
Futures roughly around, depending on which one you're doing, 20 to 1 leverage. So every
could
dollar
be over 100 to 1.
It could be, yeah. So that's how you be more capital efficient within the market. So basically, your part of your position is protected. It's
Hmm.
not in the market. It doesn't have to be, because you can use these leveraged assets and control a lot more than what you would normally do with mutual funds. That's
Right.
that swear word mutual fund, or just different stocks and stuff like that. So
Right.
if you do have 401ks, we'll just say if you have an IRA or do you have someone managing your capital, now is probably the time to start learning those different techniques and those skill and those concepts to make smarter investing decisions. And that's what it's all about, is being smart with your 401k, being smart with your IRA. So that way you don't have to, hopefully you can lower fees, but then you're not 100% at risk for somebody to come and pick up that bucket off that curb and take your money away, which is fees and market drops. Because markets don't go up forever. We're seeing big volatility. Now is the time to learn to protect them before that happens. So call 952-814-4410 for 2 tickets for this investing class that we do right here in Bloomington. We get into these different portfolios, different ways that you might be able to make better decisions in them, but also how to navigate these great volatile markets. I mean, these are volatile markets, which is what we want as
Right.
investors, what we want as traders. 952-814-4410. When you call in now, you're going to receive those tickets for the class. Also, some free stock picks. So make sure when you call in right now, ask for those free stock picks so to make sure that you get those. You can also text the word invest to the number 484848. So we mentioned a couple leveraged assets, Al. We mentioned futures and we mentioned Forex. We're getting close to the end of the show, but just describe or explain what those actually are. And I know we go over these in the investing classes in more detail, but let's just, kind of give our listeners a little bit of information so they can say, hey, it's time to come to these investing classes.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the futures market. That is a family of things that you can invest in. If you want to invest in the stock market, you can invest in the stock indexes in the futures market. If you want to invest in commodities, you have access to commodities in the futures family. If you want to invest in interest rates, you can do that. In currencies, you can do that. Gold, oil, silver, your favorite,
Lean hogs.
lean hogs. Those are things that allow you to have a really truly diversified portfolio. It's not what the typical Wall Street diversification is, which just is having a number of stocks or a number of mutual funds that cover different components of the economy, because they're still all in one asset class, and that's stock. So futures gives you an opportunity to invest in a variety of things as basically 24-hour trading. It has a huge tax advantage if you're doing this outside of a retirement account, what we call a 60-40 split. So
Yep.
even if you're trading it short term, 60% is treated as long-term capital gains.
Yeah, hold
That-
up one second. You mentioned 24-hour markets. So if people are working during the day, they actually have opportunities in at night.
Absolutely. Right. It closes for about 15 minutes, but that's essentially 24-hour trading. Same thing is true in the foreign exchange market, 24 hours where you're looking, and there you're looking at the difference in exchange rates between two different currencies that trades it's like one trade, but it's a pair that you're trading.
It's just traded just like a stock would be traded.
Just like a stock trades, exactly. Trades 24 hours a day, great leverage, 50-to-1 leverage. Those are assets that the institutions are trading that they're basically not telling you about. Not only can you trade those with the benefit of leverage, but you also can use those to benefit in a down market. And the other one is options. Options have a great leverage, a number of different strategies that can be used not only in up markets and down markets, but in different kinds of volatile markets, non-volatile markets. The reason they're called options is because there are so many options with them. But you don't even have to own stock to benefit from stock by using options.
Interesting. I know you cover that in these investing classes, but just to kind of make our listeners understand a little bit more, these different assets, you buy them, sell them just like you would buy and sell a stock. It's not
Exactly.
something different that you got to go do. You don't have to, go get a degree to trade these different assets. You're just not being counseled by them. You're not hearing about them because institutions are actually moving these markets and putting a lot of, trillions of dollars within these other markets, not just stocks. So just so you know, they're traded just like a stock would be traded. You buy it and you sell it within the financial markets. And these aren't new. They're just a little bit different. So hopefully we can inspire you to do things a little bit differently as I kicked off the show. And, if you want to learn more about these different assets, we have these investing classes here in Bloomington. Call 952-814-4410 for 2 tickets. But I'm also going to give away some free stock picks with this to show you kind of what it looks like to buy at wholesale and sell at retail, just like those financial institutions do. You can also text the word invest to the number 484848. You'll get a text right away with a link. Click the link. You'll pick a date for this class. You'll still receive those stock picks when you do that. So, but we'll also give you a call and make sure you find those stocks. Al, we were talking with a student the other day. We get a lot of students that come in and say, hey, we listen to the show every single week. We like hearing the show. How do you keep it so fresh? So I was thinking about this. We should almost change our show or our names to the Febreze brothers because we're so fresh.
Oh gosh!
But you also have some fresh.
Did you actually just say that?
I did say that. We're the Febreze brothers, but you always have fresh OTA tips of the week. Let's hear it.
Well, you know what? We hear this often, unfortunately, people saying, well, this just is not the right time. And what I'm going to tell you is that pretty much is going to assure failure for you. Unless you figure out how to control every potential life influence, the right time almost never happens. You might not ever have what you consider a right time, but there is a right now time, there's a today time, and that could be the best time for you. So waiting just means missing opportunities that are gone forever. Don't let that happen. Make a change. If you want to make a change in what you're doing, you have to do something different. And maybe taking the first step is coming to one of these free classes.
Yeah, the best way to stay poor is keep passing over opportunities regularly. Learn now to learn how to trade and invest the financial markets. 952-814-4410 for 2 tickets for this free class here in Bloomington. As always, same time, same place next week. Until then, retire young, my friends.